Gridable. So here we're going to record our answers. So this is just practice for me and you so that we can be able to properly put in our numbers in the Gridable. So I already have my answer. It is 416. So I want you to turn your paper to the side wherever you have space, but the one thing I do not want you to do is to write on top of here. If I put a mark accidentally here, it may count it completely wrong, and all that hard work you did to answer the question may just be completely wrong just because of a minor mistake. So I'm going to start here on the side wherever you have space. I'm going to try to draw this out. So I'm going to put my hundredths, tenths, ones, my decimal point. This is my tenths, and this is my hundredths. So here I'm going to put the number that I have, and it's 416. My 4 is in the hundreds place, so I'm going to put a 4, 1 in the tens, 6 in the hundreds. I do not have any decimals, so I am just going to put 0, 0. So I have 416. Now that I know where it's supposed to go, this is what I'm going to do on top. I'm going to try to insert my number as close as possible. So I have a 4 in my hundreds, and I know this one's my hundreds. So I'm going to put a 4 here, a 1 in my tens, so I'm going to put a 1 there, and a 6 in my ones. And again, I have no decimals, so I am going to put a 0. Now it's time for me to bubble in. So I'm going to look in each one. And I see a 4. So now I'm going to go 4, and I'm going to look for the bubble that has 4, and this is the bubble that has a 4. I am then going to color it in. Try to stay inside the circle as much as possible. Then I'm going to look in my tens, and I have a 1 here, so I'm going to go to my 1, and I am going to bubble that in as much as possible. Now I'm going to my 6. So I'm going to look for the number 6, and there it is, and I'm going to color that in. 416. So now I have my 2 zeros. So here I'm just going to shade in 2 zeros. And that's it for my letter A. So remember, my answer was 416. I drew my place value chart on the side, and I tried to match it completely here. So now I'm going to do the same thing for 128. So my answer is 128 for letter B. So let me go ahead and show you that. I have 128. So I'm going to flip my page over. To the side. And again, I am going to do my hundredths, tens, ones, my decimal point, and then this is my tenths and my hundredths. So now I'm going to put in 128. A 1 is in my hundreds place, so I'm going to put a 1 in my hundreds place. I have a 2 in my tens and an 8 in the ones. Again, I do not have any decimal points, so I am just going to put 0, 0. Now I'm going to put that into my Gridable exactly how I saw it. So here I have hundreds, tens, ones, my tenths, and my hundredths. So in my hundreds, I had a 1. In my tens, I had a 2. And my ones, I had an 8. Now here in my tenths and hundredths, I had zeros. So again, I'm going to go to each one and bubble in as I see it. So I have a 1 in my hundred, so I'm going to go ahead and bubble in a 1. Now I have a 2 in my tenths, and I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to bubble in my 2. Lastly, I'm going to look at my 8, and I'm going to bubble that in. I cannot forget my 2 zeros in my decimal place, so I'm going to bubble in both of my zeros. There. So I bubbled in 128. So now I'm going to move on to my letter C. My letter C says the answer is 4 and 2 tenths. 4 and 2 tenths. So now again, I'm going to draw my place value chart. But this time, it's going to look a little different. I don't have a hundreds place, I don't have a tens place, but I do have a ones, and I do have a tenths place. But I'm still going to write out my whole place value chart. This is my tenths and my hundredths. So here, I have my place value chart. I look, do I have anything in hundreds? No. Do I have anything in tens? No. But I do have a 4 in the ones. So I'm going to go ahead and write a 4. Bring down my decimal. And I have a 2 in my tenths. So I'm going to leave it just how I saw it. So now I'm going to go over and put it in my griddable. Here, I have my decimal. I want to look exactly at my number. I have a 4 right in front of my decimal. So that's where I'm going to place my 4 as well. I have a 4 right in front of my decimal. What's right behind it? That's a 2. So I have a 4 in the ones place and a 2 in the tenths place. So now I'm going to bubble that in. I'm going to look for the 4 and look for my 2. Now, I know you're thinking, but what about my hundreds, tens, and what about my hundredths? Well, remember, I don't have any numbers here, so I do not put in anything here. I am only going to put in where I see a number. So I see 4 and 2 tenths, and that's what I will put in my griddable.